Ever pondered about the secret behind English speakers' ease in expressing time in their language? This secret, my friends, lies in the world of English tenses. Tenses are the backbone of English, a language so rich and intricate that it has a specific tense for every conceivable time frame. From the simple present that describes our daily habits to the future perfect that leaps ahead to actions not yet done, each tense holds a unique purpose. They allow us to express not just when an action takes place, but also its duration, its completion, and even its relation to other events. Whether you're telling a story, reporting an event, or simply having a casual chat, tenses are your trusty sidekicks, helping you navigate the sea of communication. Today, let's take a step further in this journey of discovery. We will delve into the fascinating world of the past, perfect and past perfect continuous. Imagine you're a detective, piecing together events that occurred in the past. The past. Perfect tense is your best friend. Now let's dive into the world of the past. Perfect tense. In English grammar, the past perfect tense is like a time machine. It allows us to take a journey back in time, to before a specific point or event in the past. The structure of the past. Perfect tense is straightforward. It's formed using the subject, followed by had, and then the past participle of the verb. For example, she had left. Here, she is the subject, had is the auxiliary verb, and left is the past participle of the verb leave. The past perfect tense is used to indicate that an action was completed before another took place. It's like a flashback in a movie, giving us the context we need to understand the sequence of events. Let's take a closer look with some examples. Imagine you're reading a novel, and you come across the sentence, "The train had left by the time John arrived at the station." Here, the past perfect tense, had left, tells us that the action of the train leaving occurred before John's arrival. In another example, "They had already eaten when I arrived." Had eaten is in the past perfect tense. It implies that the action of eating was completed before your arrival, and sometimes we use the past perfect tense to express a condition that didn't happen. For instance, if I had known it was your birthday, I would have brought a gift. Here, had known is in the past perfect tense, indicating a condition in the past that didn't occur. So, you see, the past perfect tense is a fascinating tool for arranging events chronologically in the past. It provides clarity and context, helping us understand the sequence and timing of past events. So, the past. Perfect tense allows us to travel back in time and view events in their proper sequence. Now let's add a bit of motion to our story with the past perfect continuous tense. This tense is like a movie reel, capturing actions that were ongoing until a certain moment in the past. It's a bit like the past perfect tense, but with an added layer of continuity. Let's break down its structure. We start with the subject, then add had, followed by been, and finally the present participle of the verb. So it looks something like this. Subject plus had plus been plus present participle. Imagine it like this. You're telling a story about a marathon runner. You want to express that the runner had been running for hours before they crossed the finish line. In this case, you would say, the runner had been running for 3 hours when they crossed the finish line. Here, had been running is the past perfect continuous tense. It shows that the action of running was ongoing until a specific point in the past, which is when the runner crossed the finish line. Now let's take a look at another example. Suppose you want to talk about how long you had been studying English before you finally became fluent. You might say, I had been studying English for 5 years before I became fluent. Again, had been studying is the past perfect continuous tense, signifying an action that was ongoing until a certain moment in the past. The past perfect continuous tense is like a time machine, taking us back to actions that were in progress before something else happened. It helps us paint a more vivid picture of the past, showing not just what happened, but how it unfolded over time. So, whether you're sharing a story about a marathon runner or your own journey learning English, the past perfect continuous tense lets you capture the motion and continuity of past events. It's a powerful tool in your English language toolkit, helping you tell richer, more engaging stories about the past. Hence, the past perfect continuous gives us the power to express continuous actions that stopped at a specific moment in the past. The past perfect and past perfect continuous may seem similar, but they each have their unique flair. So let's dive into the nuances of these two tenses and understand how each one adds a different dimension to our narration of past events. Remember, Language is not just about communication, it's also about painting a vivid picture with your words. Let's start with the past. Perfect tense. This tense is all about completed actions in the past. It's like looking at a snapshot, a moment frozen in time. Think of phrases like had eaten, had gone, or had finished. These phrases tell us that a specific action was completed before something else happened in the past. For instance, consider the sentence, "By the time I arrived at the party, everyone had left." The action of everyone leaving was completed before I arrived. It's a clear, finished action. Now, let's move on to the past perfect continuous tense. This tense, on the other hand, emphasizes an ongoing action that was happening up until a certain point in the past. It's like watching a video clip of an action in progress. Consider phrases like had been eating, had been going, or had been finishing. These phrases give us a sense of continuity, of something that was in progress over a period of time in the past. Let's look at an example. I had been reading the book for 2 hours when she called. Here, the action of reading the book was ongoing until she called. It's an action in progress, disrupted by another event. Now, let's compare these two tenses side by side. If I say I had studied English before I moved to London, it implies that my study of English was a completed action before my move. However, if I say I had been studying English when I moved to London, it implies that my study of English was ongoing and probably continued after I moved. So, you see, the past perfect is like a photograph of a completed action, while the past perfect continuous is like a video clip of an ongoing action. Both tenses allow us to weave complex narratives about the past, but each one provides a different perspective. It's like choosing the right brush to paint the perfect picture of your past. Sometimes, you'll need the precision of the past perfect to show a completed action, and at other times, you'll want the fluidity of the past perfect continuous to show an action in progress. You see, these two tenses, while closely related, paint very different pictures of the past. English tenses may seem tricky, but with a little practice, they become second nature. We've journeyed together through the realms of the past perfect and past perfect continuous tenses. And now it's time to recap what we've learned. Let's rewind to the past perfect tense. This tense is used to talk about an action that was completed before another past action. It's structured by using had, followed by the past participle of the verb. So if you wanted to say that you had finished your homework before you started watching a movie, you would say, I had finished my homework before I started the movie. Then we delved into the past perfect continuous tense. This one's a bit different. It's used to express an action that started in the past and continued up until another time in the past. The structure? Had been followed by the present participle of the verb. So, if you were reading a book for 2 hours before you fell asleep, you would say, I had been reading for 2 hours before I fell asleep. We also discussed the subtle differences between these two tenses. While the past perfect focuses on the completion of the past action, the past perfect continuous emphasizes the duration or continuous nature of the action. So remember, if you want to stress the fact that you were doing something for a certain period of time before another event happened in the past, lean towards the past perfect continuous tense. We've covered a lot of ground today, but the journey isn't over. The practice is key when it comes to mastering these tenses. Try to incorporate them into your day-to-day conversations. Write sentences using them. Read and listen to English content where these tenses are used. Remember, mastering these tenses is a giant leap towards fluency in English. Keep practicing, and you'll soon be telling stories like a pro.